Some big news around here. Stephen Curry gets injured with 2 minutes and 1 second. 2:01 left in the third quarter. And Curry limped off the floor. He knew it right away. We all knew it right away. Walked to the locker room. He's got a couple partial tears, partial torn ligaments. Not the ACL, not the LCL, not the MCL. A couple ligaments we have never heard of before. Mm-hmm. We've quizzed ourselves about them.
Interosseous.
Interosseous. Mid-brain. You got the other one? I want to hear how the other one is pronounced because we butchered them all more than long, or at least I have.
Superior tibiofibular ligaments.
Ooh, Lubbock's lexicon.
I've been practicing back here.
Yeah, I'm not doing TV tonight. I'm off. KB's taking over tonight, so I got a couple days of practice.
You got some time.
I got some time.
You know, it's one thing you did bring up, Bonte, that is rough for just the basketball world because Steph Curry at the All-Star game, that's prime time right there. The All-Star game is really going to drop down without Steph in it. And
no
that's
Warriors.
rough.
No Warriors in the All-Star game.
Right. So, a Warriorless All-Star game.
Well, it's been
Warriorless
a while.
All-Star weekend.
Well, is it Kevon Looney's birthday today? Happy birthday to Kevon Looney. He's playing good basketball. He's going to start for the foreseeable future as well. 10 points, 7 rebounds Saturday night against the Mavericks in 19 minutes. Shout out Loon Dog. Loon Dog, Speed A. Big year for him.
It is. Iron Man.
SC, if the Clippers bought out John Wall, would you take him? No, I don't think that helps the Warriors.
That's not what they need.
Nah, they need a wing defender or another big. And is that big James Wiseman? Certainly doesn't feel like it. Let's go to Gene in Oakland. Gene, what's happening? You're on the roast.
Hey, fellas. So I felt the need to call in once again and play Uncle Gene, trying to reassure everybody on the Warriors. You know, Curry's going to be gone 12 to 15 games, I guess. But you know, we've been basically a 500 team with or without him this year, and we were 500 without him last year. So, you know, this may turn out to be a blessing in disguise. You know, he's last year, as I recall, I think he was out the last 12 games or something like that. Mm-hmm. But you know, maybe without that rest, he doesn't come in with his historic Game 4 against the Celtics. So, you know, look, Wiggins is going to have to come back from his funk. I think he's still suffering from this non-COVID related illness. You know, JaMychal Green's looking better.
He is.
Anyways, I'm feeling a lot better right now. I think we still got a shot at this. It's wide open.
Hey, 27-26, it is wide open. Warriors in 8th place right now in the Western Conference, but they're tied in the loss column with the LA Clippers, tied in the loss column with the Phoenix Suns, tied in the loss column with the Dallas Mavericks, tied in the loss column there. The T-Wolves 27 losses, Pels 27, Jazz 20. So this team's going to go down to the wire. The Warriors, they could easily go up to 4. Mm-hmm. They can also drop down to 12.
Yeah.
That's the reality of the business.
In a matter of just a couple games, a week, you can be up and down and up and down. And that's almost similar to how they ended the season last year, where are they going to slip all the way down to 4 or 5? And obviously they didn't, but it's go time. It's go time for the Warriors.
You would think so. Go time without Stephen Curry. We gave you the numbers for Andrew Wiggins. We gave you the numbers for Jordan Poole. Those two guys, I believe, will step up. 718, high 95.7 the game. I know it's not the best morning today, but keep up your great work. Thank you very much. It's not the best morning.
Tired of waking up like this.
Yeah, Niners are. You know what ticked me off yesterday? It wasn't that Kyrie got traded. It wasn't the news about Stephen Curry. It wasn't the way the Warriors ended Saturday night's game against the Mavericks. You know what really got to me? Is watching the plane of the Philadelphia Eagles land in Glendale, Arizona at Sky Harbor Airport. And they had those Super Bowl sweatsuits on. That one got to me.
Yeah.
And then the pilot had the little, it's a Philly thing coming out the window. That got to me. That got to me. I don't know why. Well, I know why.
I was going to say, we know why.
I know why, but it really, really bothered me watching them get off walking on the tarmac, getting off the plane, flying first class, Sky Harbor Airport. We've all been there in Phoenix.
Yeah, it's nice.
No, not really. That airport's a dump. It is. But not lying. Who's flown to Sky Harbor? Sky Harbor's a dump.
I get in, get out. I don't have the setups that you have. I'm not going into the lounges, so I can't judge the lounges.
Listen, man, I haven't made it there yet. And this is what I do when I get to the airport. I am in and out too, but I like to walk around. That's to get a snack or two. And like Detroit has a really good airport. Chicago, really good airport. Seattle's airport's not bad. LAX needs some work done. San Diego's airport, not bad. JFK, dump. Boston,
What Denver?
Never been to Denver. I've been to Salt Lake City's airport.
Yeah.
Just on a layover, not bad. Minnesota looks like they had a good airport. Dallas, very good. Fort Worth, Texas, very good airport. As we're talking airports.
Okay, going back to you clearly want the Chiefs to win. You're being very open about that, right?
Yeah. SFO, nice airport.
Off the top of your head, has there ever been, name the most recent game or a different game where you had such strong feelings where your team was not involved, that you really wanted a certain team to win, even though betting, nothing like that, you just really wanted the other team to win?
Oh, last year, the Bengals. Wanted the Bengals to win.
Yeah.
When the New York Giants beat the Niners in the 2011 NFC Championship.
I was
the biggest Tom Brady fan, biggest Patriot fan.
Yeah, never mind. It's just a pattern here.
It's a pattern.
I get it.
But you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, the Raiders played Tampa Bay. I wanted the Raiders to get smoked at that time.
Yeah.
The Oakland Raiders. I did. Even though Tampa beat the Niners that same year, I just couldn't have Raider fans talking. Couldn't have a parade in Oakland with Raider fans talking like, hey, look at our Super Bowl. Look at us, Al Davis.
Wow, that's hater.
That is.
That's hater.
You asked me.
That's
I'm being real.
No, but that's different.
I'm the biggest Mahomes fan this week. I'm Team Whitley Sandretto, our digital manager here at 95.7 The Game. She was posting pictures of me when I lost a bet in the Mahomes jersey. Yeah, that was a rough day.
What was up with why did you have the collared? What's going on there? Why didn't you just take it off?
Yeah, I don't know. I just put it on. I was just, I'm going to look like a dork today. I had the headband.
Yeah, what was the headband?
Was the Mahomes headband.
Oh, yeah. Wow.
But Philly, I can't stand them. I know you have Philly ties.
I
feel
Philly
like you're a
ties.
double agent right now.
I'm not a double agent.
I feel like you are enjoying this.
I'm not enjoying it. I've been saying they've been victory lapping too much, but I do have some friends back there that are going to be really happy if they pull it off.
By the way, Jorge Sedano joining us now on the Bud Light guest line. All posters and guests appear on the Bud Light guest line. The Bud Light, easy to drink, easy to enjoy. I swear, Alan, I feel like you do. Deep down inside, you're like, yes, Philly,
No,
yes.
Not at all, man.
It's okay. You can go back there. They're not going to do anything to you. All right. Jorge Sedano, he can go anywhere in this country because he's a man. You saw him here at Chase Center. Covers the NBA for ESPN, part of ESPN LA's covers team as well. See him on the Rondo Horn doing his thing. Although the last time I seen George on the Rondo Horn, I think he started the game off of like minus 67 or something like that. I don't know what that was about. But I mean, Tony Reale really did you in. I was like, man, he's got no shot to be in the winner's circle on the Rondo Horn. George, good morning.
Good morning. That was because they made us make a bold prediction about the national championship game, and I said, you know what? Ribbit, TCU. That's bold. Let's go. And then, of course, I got dinged for it the next time I was on. So that was why I started minus 60, whatever amount of points Georgia scored in that game.
Yeah, that's right. Minus 65. I was like, man, George, uphill battle for him today on the Rondo Horn. Speaking of which, uphill battle for the Golden State Warriors at 27 and 26, 8th place in the Western Conference, and of course, the biggest news is Stephen Curry leaving the game with 2 minutes left in the third quarter with partial torn ligaments in his knee, leg area, lower left leg. So from your vantage point, what did you see on that Curry injury? And did you kind of like inside your own dome, George, did you feel like, boy, that doesn't look good for Steph?
Yeah, immediately you could tell it didn't look good because he didn't want to put any weight on it. He was just hopping to the, hobbling and hopping to the bench, basically. Well, he hopped onto the court, then hobbled to the bench. Then when the doctor and the training staff met him at the bench, and then he was kind of hobbling back to the locker room, I was like, that doesn't look great. Then I went back to the locker room area and was there I was there through 2 timeouts on the game clock. So basically, I try to remember exactly when it happened. It was towards the end of the third quarter.
Yep.
So the quarter ended, right? Mm-hmm. And then I was still back there in the fourth quarter, and it wasn't until midway through the fourth quarter that I finally got an update. And I saw a lot of people moving back and forth back there. So the longer it took, the more serious I knew it was in nature.
George, how do you think the Warriors can hold up for however long Steph is out and just tread water in the Western Conference, where besides the Nuggets and I guess the Grizzlies to a lesser degree, nobody wants to separate.
Yeah, I mean, I'd have to look at their strength of schedule. I haven't done that, so my apologies. But, I know that they did okay, obviously, the last time around. But you're going to need a contribution. You're going to need, Steph Clay to continue to play the way Clay has played since the turn of the calendar. Now, I know he didn't have a great game necessarily on Saturday, but obviously he had the highest scoring month of his career in January. He's averaging, nearly 25 points a game since the turn of the calendar. You're certainly going to need that. Draymond obviously is going to have to pick up more of the load. He did a fantastic job of that on Saturday. And you're going to need some of these young guys to step up in a much bigger way than they have, at least in a more consistent way than they have previously. Honestly, I think they should make a move. And I would have said that even before Steph got hurt. And it doesn't need to be some humongous move, right, or some star or something like that. I just think the one thing this team is missing is what I like to call the glue guys, right? Like in-between guys. Because it feels like Steve is coaching two different teams here, where he's coaching the veteran guys who have won the championships and then the young guys, but they don't have those glue guys. Like last year you had Otto Porter and Nemanja Bjelica, right? Previous years, Sean Livingston, Andre Iguodala, who I know is still there, but obviously is not playing like the amount of games he's used to seeing on the floor with that particular squad over the years when he was there, particularly when he was there previously. So they're missing those kinds of guys. If they can get just a veteran guy or two that they can rely upon, I think that could help ease their potential transition here for the next couple of weeks.
Jorge Sedano, ESPN LA. Of course, you see him on covering the NBA as well. Was working the sideline Saturday night at Chase Center when the Warriors outlasted the Mavericks 119-113. Jorge Sedano joining us on the Bud Light guest line. Bud Light, easy to drink, easy to enjoy. So you're talking about glue guys. One glue guy I've been kind of fixated on all season long for the Warriors. It's not Jakob Poeltl in San Antonio, but Kelly Olynyk. And Kelly Olynyk has another year left on his deal. And that type of glue guy where he can screen, he can hit the three, he's tough, he's rugged. He's like Bjelica from last season, maybe even a little bit more athletic than Bjelica. That's the type of guy I'm looking at there, and I think that's the type of guy you're talking about. So let me ask you this, George. Would trading James Wiseman or a Moses Moody be worth Kelly Olynyk?
It just depends on how close you think you are, right? Because to your point, the West is wide open. Do you think Kelly Olynyk puts you over the top? I think Kelly Olynyk is the exact type of player that you're talking about, because I do think he's a better version of Nemanja Bjelica. And I've covered Kelly Olynyk for a long, long time. I spent a lot of time in Miami, so I got to know him a little bit when I was down there covering that team regularly. And I think that, to your point, not only does he do the little things, he sets screens, he can shoot the ball, but he does bring a toughness to your team. Now, defensively, not great,
right,
but certainly better than Nemanja was.
Right.
But I do think his passing is the most underrated part of his skill set. So that should fit perfectly with what you guys do. The problem is, man, are you going to look back and say, okay, we traded James Wiseman for basically a one-year rental of Kelly Olynyk? I just don't know if they're okay with the optics of it. If they are, and they think that that's the piece that can put them over the top, then go ahead and do it. But, the optics of that are not going to be ideal, and you're going to have to deal with the backlash of that stuff too.
What's your feeling on James Wiseman? Because out here in Warrior Land, you get the fan base, split down the middle. James Wiseman is a bust. He can't play. And then you see him for stretches like you did against Denver Thursday night, where it's like, oh, wait, this guy does have potential to play offensively, but can he play the Warrior way as a big? And that's where the doubts come in when it comes to James Wiseman. What's your overall thoughts on him? How do teams covet James Wiseman outside of the Bay Area?
I think that he's a great unknown in a lot of ways, right? And I think that that's the challenge, is that a team that would potentially want to deal for him, to trade a veteran type of player like an Olynyk, like we discussed, like I'm sure Utah would be interested in a situation like that. I don't know that for a fact, but I know that they're trying to build something certainly there that could be sustainable, and maybe he is one of those pieces, because he could get run on a team that has very little expectation. And I think that's the problem, is that a lot of these guys, when you're a high draft pick, you go to a team where you can play, 25, 30 minutes and play through mistakes. Like the Houston Rockets, for example, right? That's the perfect example of a team that has a bunch of young guys that can play through mistakes, and those guys are allowed to grow their game, and then you can start to figure out, all right, which guys are going to be part of our future or whatnot. And James, unfortunately, hasn't been able to deal with that because, A, the injuries, B, just the team he's on that is expected to win right away. And he's only played 3 college games, man. I know you guys, I'm sure, have talked about this ad nauseum, but anyone with a brain outside of the Bay Area understands that that's part of this equation as well. And offensively, he's fine. Like, I don't think offense is the issue. I just think defensively he looks lost at times, and that is what costs the Warriors, at least at times when they've put him in for long stretches.
George, just taking more of a big picture look at all the NBA teams right now and the playoff race that's going to be here before you know it. Which conference do you think is currently better? You got the Western Conference where nobody is really trying to separate besides the Nuggets, and you have the Eastern Conference where you do have the Celtics and Bucks who seem to be the cream of the crop, but I don't want to disrespect the Sixers. What conference do you think is better right now?
I think the East is better. That's the first time in the time that I've been covering basketball, which is about 20 years now, that I've said that. I think the West is good. I think the West is deeper. But I don't think the West is better at the top. I think that Boston and Milwaukee are clear-cut the best 2 teams in the NBA. I think the Sixers are certainly trending better, to your point. I still have a lot of questions about them come playoff time that they need to have answered. But I do like the additions they made, particularly DeAnthony Melton, who doesn't get a lot of love. But, I mean, if you want to talk about glue guys, holy moly, that guy is the perfect glue guy, and he's super young. So I do think that they're trending in the right direction. And look, I actually think what Brooklyn did yesterday still keeps them in the conversation to some extent. If KD comes back healthy and KD can be KD, I love the fit of Dorian Finney-Smith and Spencer Dinwiddie next to him because I actually think that they were missing kind of a 3-and-D guy, and I think Dorian Finney-Smith is elite in that category. And Spencer, he's not Kyrie, but he can give you some of that stuff, right? Like in regards to the 3-level scoring. But, he's not by any stretch of the imagination what Kyrie is, but he gives you at least a little bit of it. And then you add the element of adding a strong 3-and-D wing. I'm curious to see what it looks like when those guys are all in the lineup together. And, after that, like, I don't know. I'm not really buying Cleveland as a team. I guess Miami, if they made a move, you'd have to consider them, considering they've been there. In the conference finals 2 of the last 3 years and in the finals in 1 of those years. But I still think they're a man short. But I think that the East is better right now. The West is wide open. You could tell me any of these teams from 1 through like 10 or 12. Well, maybe not all of the teams 10 through 12. But like the majority of them, 80% of them, if you told me they were in the conference finals, I'd be like, sure, I believe it.
No doubt. George Sedano here on the Bud Light guest line on the Morning Russ on 95.7 The Game. DeAnthony Melton, I thought when Memphis Grizzlies traded him away, I was like, whoa, you traded away the wrong guy. I always thought they should have moved on from Dylan Brooks, but that's Memphis's problem. Real quick before we get you out of here, can Kyrie and Luka work together in Dallas for these next 2, 3, maybe 4 months?
So I think obviously it'll take some time because chemistry takes a second. But I think offensively, yes, there's no question to me that I think ultimately they can be an elite combination because Luka Doncic's skill set most resembles LeBron in regards to anyone else in the league. Now, granted, he doesn't have the athleticism LeBron had when Kyrie played with him by any stretch of the imagination, but all the other stuff is there. You know what I mean? So I think that Kyrie has played with a player who is similar. So I think that will be fine. I'm curious to see what they do defensively without DFS, right? And even Spencer wasn't a net negative on defense. But if Kyrie can be an average defender, they're going to get Maxi Kleber back, and he's one of the most underrated defenders in the NBA. I believe the number was they were shooting 8.5 to 9 percentage points lower at the rim when he was in the game, and he was also last season, I want to say team shot under 30% against him, or his man shot under 30% against him from three-point land. He can guard the entire floor from rim to the three-point line. So if they get him back, that helps. They're going to ask more of Josh Green, obviously, who's been pretty good defensively and actually done well for them offensively. But that's a lot to ask of a young player. They need another move, I think, whether that's here before the deadline in the next 3 or 4 days, or on the buyout market, right? Like
Right.
you can potentially find someone there. And I actually think it's funny. The buyout market is more important now because of the play-in scenario. So many more teams think they're in it that you probably will have more buyouts, I think, than you will trades moving forward. Now, maybe I'm wrong about that, but it feels like the last 2 years, the trade deadline is not as – it hasn't been a flurry of trades as we've seen in previous years prior to the play-in. And I'm curious to see if that changes at all this particular season. But it seems like the last two that hasn't been the case. So I think the buyout market is certainly really important now moving forward.
All right, that is a great George Sedano here on the Bud Light Guest Line. George, we always appreciate the time. I missed you Saturday, but hopefully you're back. Are you back next Saturday when the Lakers come to town?
I'm here this Saturday, not on sidelines. I'm calling the game on ESPN Radio with Kalena. So it'll be fun. He's working with us since, he's not working with Fitzy that day. So he'll be my partner on radio on ESPN Radio nationally.
Oh, man, that'd be awesome. I'll come by and say hi, man. Glad you were able to make the show today. I know Lubman was tracking you down Saturday at Chase Center. So we'll see you here when the Lakers come to town, and maybe LeBron James already has that record in his back pocket. George, good stuff, man. Have a good one.
Yeah, man. Have a great show. Thanks for having me on. I'll be watching you on TV, Bonte. Thanks again.
I appreciate that, George. George Sedano here on 95.7 The Game on the Bud Light Guest Line. Bud Light, easy to drink, easy to enjoy.